purpose of this presentation is to provide the school staff at Ellison Preschool with tools to create positive change within the play of students in the classroom. Through the use of functional communication programs tailored to both verbal and nonverbal students, teachers can encourage communication skills with students in the classroom. The functional communication programs of taking turns and accepting the denial of objects will be implemented through PEX boards and communication devices. Reinforcement through praise and dojo points will encourage appropriate behaviors and support the target of reducing tantrums and aggression within the classroom. This presentation will dive into an overview of these topics and provide a summary of how training will take place in the next few weeks. Amy will begin by providing an overview of evidence-based research supporting functional communication training.
Hey, this is Amy. I'm going to be kicking off our presentation today by talking about the history of functional communication training. It's an evidence-based practice with over 30 years of research to support it. It's been used with a range of ages, developmental levels, and diagnoses. So by diagnosis, we mean people with autism, attention deficit disorder, Down syndrome, intellectual disabilities, emotional and behavioral disorders, just all kinds of issues have been addressed with functional communication training. It's been used in homes, schools, and in the community, implemented by professionals such as school professionals like yourselves and caregivers. A brief research summary of FCT. I just have a quick graphic up here. And these are all studies that were published in the Journal of Applied Behavior Analysis. And these are just research reviews of studies. And so they found in 138 inpatient cases, there's a 90% or greater reduction in problem behavior in over 83% of cases. And then as you can see in some of the other studies, they also had these very good results. So 50 outpatient cases, 80% or greater reduction in problem behavior in 86% of cases. So it's a program that's been well researched with a very high success rate.
Ellison School consists of 20 teachers, 40 assistant teachers, 4 to 6 volunteers that help in the classrooms daily, 1 physical therapist, 1 BCBA, 1 principal, 1 occupational therapist, and 2 speech and language pathologists. During the school week, teachers will rotate to attend a training meeting on the use of FCT, PEX, and assistive technology. Teachers will learn about these tools and utilize them in a modeling and role-playing procedures in the training. Behavior-specific praise will also be targeted within the training as a vital tool to reinforce the use of requesting a turn and responding appropriately to the denial of a turn. To target these students that are Tier 2 and Tier 3, a reinforcement system will be implemented to motivate the use of FCT with peers through a class dojo system. Students will have the opportunity to earn stickers to gain access to a treasure chest through the class dojo system. After obtaining 10 dojo points in a row, students will be permitted to receive a sticker that grants them access to a treasure box. Students could access the box multiple times in a day. If there were 20 opportunities or more to gain dojo points, teachers will learn how to utilize the dojo website both on a computer and iPad. Teachers will additionally learn how to use a preference assessment to identify preferred reinforcements for the students in the classroom. BCBA will train all Ellison Preschool teachers and volunteer staff who will be working within the classroom of students who require a functional communication device or board, taking turns, and/or denial of object program. Using a behavior integrity sheet, a BCBA will train over a 4-day training session on 3 programs. Each integrity sheet will list the steps and procedures, what to do if the student complies, and what to do if the student does not comply. The BCBA will first teach teachers and volunteers how to teach the child to use the communication device or board, how to request to take turns, as well as how to handle the denial of an object. Then the BCBA will teach the trainees how to collect data on each program and help students if needed once the skill is learned and mastered. The BCBA and trainees will role play both the student role and the teacher and staff role, that they would understand every part of the integrity sheet. The BCBA will do a final role play with each teacher and staff member and record if they follow the steps or not, with a plus for following and a minus for not following. Each staff member must score an 80% or above to be able to begin implementing the 3 programs. Quarterly, the BCBA will visit the school and collect data on the integrity sheet as they observe staff to make sure they are maintaining the programs.
So functional communication training is a differential reinforcement procedure, which means that desired behavior such as requesting for toys contacts reinforcement, while problem behavior such as aggression or tantrums does not result in that reinforcement. It has 3 primary components: identifying the function of the problem behavior, which means you're just trying to determine what the individual is getting out of that behavior. Develop a replacement behavior that matches the function of the problem behavior, and then extend that treatment across caregivers and settings. And so we'll be doing that across classrooms here at Ellison. For the replacement behavior, basically for children who are engaging in aggression, to gain access to a toy, they're going to be taught to request that item appropriately. So the benefits of functional communication training for Ellison are several. First being it's an evidence-based practice. It reduces problem behavior while teaching children a new skill. Rather than just reducing a problem behavior, we're teaching them something to communicate their wants and needs. It can be generalized to the home and community, and implementing an universal intervention is going to strengthen the sense of community and team relationship amongst staff. Who's going to be implementing functional communication training here at Ellison? In a word, everyone. So all staff and parent volunteers will also be briefed in how to do functional communication training. When will the training occur? It's going to be the first week of November, 4 days, an hour a day after school hours, and staff are going to be participating in role-playing in addition to an instructional presentation. BCBA and the school leadership team are going to be conducting ongoing training, which consists of evaluating the implementation of the program, checking treatment fidelity, checking data sheets, and providing interventions as needed. The procedure for functional communication training, I won't go into it here in depth, but basically the step 1 is to conduct a functional analysis of problem behavior, then select an alternative communicative behavior. So in this case, teaching a kid who engages in a tantrum to get a toy to say, "My turn." And the third step being, if necessary, develop an additional reinforcement protocol for appropriate behavior. If gaining access to the item isn't enough, seeing what else can be done to reinforce that behavior.
What do you want? Good job.
The 2 functional communication training programs are taking turns and teaching the denial of an object. The purpose of both of these programs is to encourage communication with the students during their playtime. The students will be observed initially, and staff will model how to ask for a turn during student training. School staff will then proceed to observe and encourage the use of this skill. When a student requests for a turn independently, the school staff will provide praise and dojo points as reinforcement for these appropriate behaviors. Teachers will also take data using a tally mark on the data sheets. If a student does not request for a turn, then the school staff will prompt the student to ask, "Can I have a turn?" using the communication devices or the PEX board. These instances of prompting will not be recorded as a tally for the data sheets. The goal of this program is to aid the issues of tantrums and aggression in regards to fighting over toys. By gaining the skill to request turns the student will be able to facilitate appropriate communication by gaining the toy that they desire.
Good job.
The second functional communication program, which is teaching the denial of the object, is to have the student gain the skill to accept no and find an alternate toy. In the initial training for the student, the school staff will create motivation for the student to focus on the toy. The school staff will then wait for the student to either ask for the toy or grab the toy. When this occurs, the student will be prompted to accept no. The school staff will say no, and if the student does not engage in tantrums or aggression, then the school staff will provide behavior-specific praise. If the student does engage in these behaviors, such as tantrums and aggression, the school staff will block and ignore these. They will then proceed to wait until the behavior has de-escalated and the student is calm. Once calm, the staff will redirect the student to another toy. The goal of this program is to also decrease tantrum and aggression that results from the student telling the child no, by teaching the child to find an alternate toy instead. Both programs will focus on utilizing praise and dojo points for the treasure box prizes to reinforce the appropriate behaviors.
That's not a choice right now. You can play with the ball or the blocks. Now, right now, I'm playing with this. You can have the ball or the blocks.
In conclusion, staff can utilize these final tips for implementation of these programs. Accountability of one another is important in regards to implementing the same method. It is important that students receive consistency with the delivery of these programs in the school environment. Reflection and evaluation are also key elements in the delivery of these programs. As school staff reflects on their instruction and observation, they can address any questions or concerns that may occur within these programs. Lastly, seeking assistance or answers is a vital part of learning and gaining the skills necessary to provide the students with programs that are addressing their needs. We appreciate your attention during this presentation and will be here to answer any questions if you would like to come up and ask this time. Thank you.